But there were some who saw it coming. While the whole world was having a big old party, a few outsiders and weirdos saw what no one else could, and they saw it by doing something the rest of the suckers never thought to do. They looked.
For those that don't recognize that, that is the lines from the movie Big Short. My name is Sean. Today we're going to be talking about how to win your fantasy football leagues. I have over 25 years of experience in fantasy football across all formats, and the reason why those lines relate to what we're going to be talking about today is because today really is about markets, understanding how markets work. In order to win any football league or any format of fantasy football, whether it be DFS, tournament, cash games, whatever, you really have to be a fantastic buyer and seller. At base level, it's the same exact principles of any market. Buy low, sell high. Very easy concept to understand. And as market heads, we want to be able to spot value at both ends, both the buying and the selling. So using our inspiration for this video, let's talk about one of the ways to spot value.
Excuse me, Dr. Berry, it seems like a foolish investment.
Based on prevailing sentiment of the market, banks, and popular culture, yes, it's a foolish investment, but everyone's wrong.
Over long periods of time, markets are highly efficient, but in short periods of time, they can often get things wrong. In the short term, people tend to overreact to bad news because it's the fear of the unknown. They don't know what's going to become of it. The Rashee Rice situation, I think, is a perfect example of this. Rashee Rice went from a late second-round pick to an early fourth-round pick because he got into his second offense this offseason whenever he failed a drug test. He was on probation, and he had to do 30 days. Well, this varies from state to state. Some states are more stricter on being able to take marijuana, and others aren't. The NFL hasn't done anything about marijuana in years. You haven't heard about anybody being suspended for weed in forever because they understand that this varies from state to state, so they're pretty lax on it now. There was really no reason for him to fall almost 15 spots, and we're seeing the market correct that now. He went from the either late third round, early fourth round, wherever you were kind of getting him right after this incident had happened, and now he's all the way back down to a very early third round, and I expect him to move into the second round as we get more drafters. They're not going to remember that news happened or why he fell 15 spots. They're just going to look at a guy who has scored 19 points per game last year and has been one of the most productive receivers for the last 3 years that they can somehow get the early third round. And they're sadly going to get value over people that are more in tuned with what's been going on in the offseason. All because of total FUD, people who are trying their hardest are going to lose value just simply because of fear of what they didn't know.
Jamie and Charlie found markets will sell options very cheaply on things they think will never happen. So when they were wrong small, but when they were right big.
So this strategy really relates to people that put too much stock in their own words, don't prepare for the worst case outcome, or just don't believe the worst case outcome can really happen. So this can manifest itself in several ways, depending on the fantasy format. In season long, somebody who drafts running backs early who don't take their handcuffs, or like the Millie Maker tournament on DraftKings, a Jamar Chase is only going to go 2% of the time because he has a tough matchup, maybe a backup quarterback in, so people underestimate the possibility of him potentially going off, and he only ends up in 2% of lineups, whereas he's probably going to outperform his peers more than 2%, and maybe even 2% of the time. If you give him 1 out of 50 times to go against his opponent, he would probably produce the best score on the slate because he's that talented. This is why the same names, the same pros continue to win over and over, because they prepare for that possibility.
Now, this is a classic error. In basketball, it's called the hot hand fallacy. A player makes a bunch of shots in a row. People are sure they're going to make the next one. People think whatever's happening now is going to continue to happen into the future.
I don't want to play the full clip because it's very long. Also, it's kind of a dumbed down version of what a synthetic CDO is, but I'm also going to dumb it down further. Just because something happened the previous year, we don't want to overpay on something that has the same likelihood of happening this year as it did last year. Case in point is Alec Pierce. At this point last year, Alex Pierce was going about 179th in ADP, and this year it's sitting around 80th. It's been cut in half. Why? Yes, Michael Pittman is gone, and he left 111 targets up for grabs, But Alex Pierce was already playing the same amount of snaps as him, and he had a completely different role. His ADOT is over double what Michael Pittman's was. You could say we didn't know Daniel Jones had that kind of arm, but his production was slowing down. The 2 games before he got injured, he threw for under 200 passing yards both games. But if we are saying it's because of Daniel Jones' arm, then Josh Downs is being moved to the outside. He's most likely to fill the Michael Pittman role, and this season they don't have A.D. Mitchell or Michael Pittman. Why is Josh Downs going the same exact price as Michael Pittman did last year? The only possible explanation of this is the hot hand fallacy. Because Alex Pierce hit last year, people think it's more likely to hit again, and they are willing to pay double the price for the same amount of routes, the same exact route tree, the same exact role, the same exact QB who's coming off an injury. But meanwhile, Josh Downs is going to go as the same price as Michael Pittman. So let's go ahead and summarize, because the video went on way longer than I expected. Thank you so much if you made it through all this. Number one, we want to be buying players at their lowest points rather than their highs, looking at all the news and not overreacting to it. And those players that are getting steamed up for no real reasons, we just want to avoid them. We sell those. Number two, hedge your bets. We know injuries are going to occur, so it's best to prepare for it at the very beginning of the season. Also remember risk versus reward, and these large field tournaments, these low-owned players generally are far more valuable because so fewer lineups have them. So whenever they hit, we are competing versus smaller amount of people. Number three, don't fall into the hot hand fallacy trap. Don't overspend on players just because they already hit. We deal with small sample sizes. One play or a few plays in a given season can completely change a player's outcome.